stage, film, television actress and director. She's won lots of awards for her work in LA and elsewhere. And she's been on stages in Los Angeles and New York. You know, I saw her in a brilliant Maria Callas at the ICT in Long Beach, which is masterclass, right?
Terrence McNally.
Yeah, and she's just done Good People at La Mirada, very successful, wonderful reviews. David Nichols of the Los Angeles Times called her a local treasure, and I think she is. She's a treasure for all of us who've been lucky enough to see her work. And today we're going to talk to Gigi a lot about, we've got a lot to talk about. We want to talk about how you got into acting and a little bit about your background, and maybe you can tell us where you were born, bred and buttered, raised.
Well, I was raised between Sacramento and Placerville,
okay,
in what was at the time a tiny little suburb called El Dorado Hills. And it was very rural,
yeah,
actually. But my mother was French. And so I grew up with a sort of little bit of grandiosity about us being very cultured people. And
she was French from France?
From France.
So how did she meet
My father met her when he was a GI over there and in the Second World War. They married in 1945, and she came over at the age of 18.
So vous parlez français peut-être?
Je parle français comme une Française, j'espère.
Well, speak the whole interview in French.
I'm sure the audience would appreciate that.
That's great. Well, did she speep French to you as a
We
child?
spoke French in the home. It's my first language.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's terrific.
So I was there till mid-high school, and then we moved to the San Jose area, where I finished high school and where I started doing theater. And it was just wonderful.
So theater in high school, in middle school, and
not middle school, no, just well, in high school.
Yeah.
In high school. But I always acted. I was one of those people who always, as a child, always make up, telling people what to do. I was sort of directorial as well.
Right.
This is a refrigerator. No, it's not. It's a box. No, it's a refrigerator. For God's sakes, open the refrigerator. So I remember that as a little girl.
But when you get on stage, it's different, isn't it? I mean, when like you're in high school and you get up and you actually have to learn lines and you have to be directed and all that. I mean, what was that experience?
It was great. I remember when I moved to San Jose, and there was a really good drama department in my high school at Saratoga High School.
Yeah.
I auditioned for The Miracle Worker with a monologue from Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, which is totally on my bucket list.
Yeah.
And I'm running out of time here.
Yeah.
But for Virginia Woolf. But,
yeah, definitely.
And I remember there was a palpable effect. I had an effect.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, this feels right.
Is that sort of a connection with the audience, you think, or is it an internal thing?
For me, it was pretending to be other people is the deal. That's why I got into acting. I wanted to pretend to be other people, because sometimes I was uncomfortable with who I was, still am. Some of us are not very comfortable in our skin.
Yeah.
For me, playing other people, even if they're miserably agonized people,
yeah,
is a relief from being in my own head.
Yeah.
And it was always thus.
Acting is such a mystery, Were you shy? Was that part of it, or was you just felt awkward?
I wasn't shy. But I was kind of a misfit in where I first grew up. When I moved to Saratoga, the drama people accepted me, liked me.
Yeah.
And it was kind of a beginning of not feeling like an outcast.
I always think of it as the theater people as a tribe. It's sort of my tribe, and you find your tribe, and you just feel like, well, here I've landed.
Yeah.
And it's even different from your family or your community. It's like you have this instant connection. Is that something?
Yes, it's still the case. You talk with anybody in the theater community. You just you have a language, you have an understanding, and interests that only you have, that only we, the few tribe
Well, it's true.
share.
That's true. So Miracle Worker, and then, well, you have a beautiful voice. Did you do musicals in high school also?
No, we didn't do musicals there. Oh, yes, we did, but I got there too late, I think. We didn't do any musicals my years that I was there. I sing. Yeah. I'm not musical theater trained. I do some musicals.
Right.
Occasionally. I love doing musicals, but mostly straight plays.
Yeah. So then graduating from high school, and you decide you want to...
I was going to be an actress, and I went to the local junior college briefly, and they didn't cast me in a big part in their fall play.
What?
And I was like, well, who are you people? And I thought, that is a ridiculous idea for profession.
Good.
No, I said.
No, but I mean, it's good that you didn't give up, because a lot of people.
But I did give up.
Oh, you did.
I did.
Oh,
I studied political science and French for 3 years.
Oh, you did?
Went to UC Berkeley.
Oh, okay.
And then my senior year, I transferred into the drama department because I couldn't stand it. And I graduated with a degree in dramatic art from UC Berkeley.
Okay.
Which was great.
Yeah.
And I made lifelong friends there, and I don't have any regrets. My husband, I knew from that moment, but it wasn't a proper conservatory training, which would have been great.
Yeah.
If I have any regrets, that's kind of one of them.
Really? I don't know. I mean, I think some people, I thought as a playwright, well, I should go to Yale or someplace, but I actually realized that I went to law school and I thought, well, you know, that's actually served me very well. I mean, having liberal arts training and some of those things are really can be useful in your, you know, real world things when you bring to your art, basically. So from college, where'd you go? What happened
I spent
there?
a year in San Francisco, I did a couple of little plays, and then I went to New York for 8 years, where I studied. Wonderful teacher Zena Jasper, and also Aaron Frankel at HP Studios.
Aaron Frankel, I know well, sure.
You do?
Yeah, from
My
Columbia.
gosh.
Yeah.
Wow. And I didn't have any connections, really.
Yeah.
My final year there, I was there for 8 years. My final year there, I was cast in Twelfth Night at the Public, the New York Shakespeare Festival. There in the park. At the Delacorte Theater for the summer. I had a very tiny part. With a bunch of movie stars.
Yeah.
Which is great fun.
Who were also good actors, some of them.
Absolutely. And I thought, oh, this is, I'm finally in.
Yeah.
But I gave it one more year and I wasn't really in. So I came to LA to visit a friend. I met an agent at a party. He said, I'll send you out on TV stuff while you're here. He sent me out. I booked my first TV job.
This is in LA.
Here.
Yeah.
And I booked my first TV audition and I thought, well, this is easy. So I moved here.
That's
Not
good.
so easy after that, but
yeah. And your family had nothing to do with art or theater. What did your dad do?
My father was an engineer,
Oh, okay.
mechanical engineer and a nuclear engineer. My brother's a painter.
Okay.
Because my mother was a great proponent of the arts.
Yeah.
It was clear to us that an artist was the top of all aspirations.
Well, that's great.
There was nothing greater than being an artist.
So that's kind of encouraging for you. And
Yeah, I think it was definitely, we got an early message that our value in life would best be served by being artists.
Yeah. That's great. Yeah. So you're back in LA after New York.
Well, in LA for the first time, because I was from Northern California, which has a tremendous prejudice against Southern California, and New York had a tremendous prejudice against Southern California.
Yeah, everybody does.
So I came here, and I was already in my 30s. But yeah, so I was starting, again from the ground up.
Well, back in New York, in terms of training, I mean, you talked about some of the teachers that you had, but I mean, in terms of technique and classes, what were you focusing on?
Those were just scene study classes.
Okay.
I came here and I got into a class with John Lenn, amazing director. He has since passed away, unfortunately. And he had been at the Actors Studio, and he introduced techniques to me that I had never had before. He called it effective memory training. Okay. And that is a way of accessing the emotions. So I learned for the first time how to, from a technical process, access emotions when I need them. And that was a game changer for me. Right.
I mean, what are some of the techniques in terms of exercises and stuff that you learned there? I mean, I know it's hard to explain acting techniques and exercises, but just sort of general focus of this.
Well, the effective memory technique has to do with using sensory recall of past experiences in order to elicit an emotion. And when you're first beginning, you don't know what image in your mind or smell or what memory, you don't know what memory is going to affect you in what way. Like you think, if I think about my mom, it'll make me cry, but it might not. Or if I think about lying down on the grass when I was a little kid, it'll make me angry, but it might make you feel something else. So you find out by going through this process of, it's a longer explanation.
But it's sort of Actors Studio, Strasbourg generation stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that was very, very helpful to me. Yeah, and then, in 2000, I joined the Antias Company. Right. And
which, for those of our audience who doesn't know, is a wonderful classical theater company. It's based in North Hollywood now, but they are a wonderful ensemble, a company of highly trained and talented classical actors who also do TV, film, television.
That's right.
It's a little bit, I always think of London in the early 50s when you had Olivier and all the great actors doing stage work at night and film and television during the day. In a way, that's kind of what the Antaeus reminds me of.
Yes, indeed.
But anyway, go on about it.
Well, it was a great gift to become a member of that company because we do so much exploration of the classics. The classics for us are anything up to, I mean, the years keep getting closer to where we are now. I mean, we do 20th century classics, for example. Right now on stage, there's Wedding Band by Alice Childress, which I think is from, I'm not sure what year actually. But we've done things from the mid-50s and so on.
Right.
So the classics encompasses a lot of material. But the point is, by working on all these different classics from all the different periods, including Shakespeare and the Greeks and so on, it's given me, I think, a training that I didn't previously have.
Right. The other great thing about Antaeus, I'm sure you agree, is that you can have a large cast, you can have rotating casts. It's a chance for actors to really, I mean, unfortunately there's not the money to pay everybody, which is another subject. But also Antaeus has a wonderful school too. They have a second academy for actors.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Have you taught at all? And have you done any teaching? Do you
I'm
enjoy
about
that?
to probably teach a course, but I shouldn't talk about it because it hasn't been confirmed.
Yeah.
I used to, when Jeannie Hackett was the artistic director, I used to sometimes come in and give my opinion to the students.
Because that's sort of part of your role as an actor, I think, is to pass this on.
Yeah.
I mean, the techniques that you've learned, the experience, and
Yeah.
I know that in every show you do, actors learn from each other. Is that how does that work?
Oh gosh, I was just in a play, Good People, at La Mirada, which you mentioned.
Yeah.
And it was a uniformly excellent cast, 6 cast members, each of them bringing just, I thought, extraordinary level of acting.
Yeah.
And it is by working with great actors that you are elevated as well. And great acting to me, I mean, besides having technical prowess, like language skills and emotional skills, besides that, it's an ability to connect.
Right.
Which you'd be surprised a lot of actors simply don't have the experience of, or maybe the courage to really connect.
Sure.
So on some kind of visceral level. So you're playing a character who isn't you, and that person's playing a character that isn't them, but on some visceral level there's an exchange of energy, and that is what the audience, I think, responds to.
Yeah.
And feels.
Yeah. Well, I think the audience responds to it, people respond to it, and I can think of all sorts of fields where this is applicable. I mean, not just acting, but politics and law and business. I mean, it's all part of that connection and learning to listen, right? I mean, I think that's the hardest lesson for actors, I'm sure, is listening. When did you learn to listen? I know it doesn't happen automatically.
Yeah, late probably. Because I was so hungry and wanted to give what I had to give, and there were a lot of obstacles, and nobody wanted it. And so I think it was when I was able to relax into knowing that I had a flow of opportunities coming that you really then are able to enjoy the gifts that other people have to give.
Right.
You're able to take it in because you're not in a panic about giving what you need to give.
Yeah.
You know
I know. It's hard. It's part of kind of the evolution and maturing process of life in a way is to have that confidence, and you need the rewards too. You need the feedback that you're doing a good job. So
to that, I can respond to that?
Yeah, please.
To that end, I received in 2002 a special Los Angeles Drama Critics Circle Award, the Natalie Schaefer Award.
Yeah, I know you did.
To an emerging comic actress. Were you going to ask me about that?
No.
Do you mind if I go on about this?
No, please.
That was a game changer for me because by that point, not a young woman, 2002, wasn't that long ago, I literally was reaching a point where I thought, I might be deluded. I mean, I'm not having a lot of success. And I still want this just as badly as I ever did. I'm working really hard. I've honed my skills. Come on, people. So I wrote a solo play for myself, a narrative, where I played all the characters. It was a comedy. I played all the characters. That's the only difference between that and a normal play.
Right.
Got this special award and a $5,000 gift.
Yeah.
And it was like a drop of water, like a gush of water on somebody who's just dying of thirst. It was like, wow. Okay. No matter what happens in the future, whether I have success or not, I have been confirmed, I've been affirmed by people I respect that I have something to offer. Yeah. And that was really, really a great gift to me.
Well, that makes me feel great because I think I was president of the Drama Critics Circle then, just to disclose a conflict of interest or around that time.
I didn't
but
know.
One of the things about giving those awards is that you really want to give them to people who are outstanding and are talented, but you also hope that it will have an impact on their work and on the community at large, which I'm glad we did. But let's go back to the solo thing, and then because I saw you in in Masterclass, which is essentially a solo show. I mean, you have a student who you're working with.
3 students.
3 students,
Yeah.
okay. But there's a lot of, you're talking a lot. There's a lot of just you're talking and talking and talking as Maria Callas. And you wrote your own solo show years ago. And just in terms of that, of the difficulty factor, it seems like that would be awfully hard, because I know you take energy back and forth when you're working with another actor, but when you're doing the solo work, it's kind of on you and the audience to some degree.
Yes.
Was that part of your frustration with the solo piece, or?
No, I didn't have, a frustration. It was just difficult.
Yeah.
But it's also, the measure of difficulty is also the measure of the gratification.
Yeah.
Because you have so much, how shall I say, you get to do everything.
Yeah.
So you're not waiting in the wings for your moment.
Right.
Good People, which I was just in. I didn't play the lead. Loved every minute of it. Loved the actors. Loved the director, Jeff Maynard. Loved working there at La Mirada. The McCoy Rigbys are amazing human beings.
Yeah.
The whole thing was just incredible.
Right.
But I was waiting in the wings a lot.
Yeah.
And that's hard.
Yeah. You're on the bench for a while.
You're on the bench for a while.
Yeah.
When you're a supporting character.
Yeah.
So, so playing Maria Callas in Masterclass, or playing all the roles in Non-Vital Organs,
Yeah.
my solo play, is tremendously gratifying. Tremendously scary, and tremendously gratifying.
So then after your solo show, I know you had a little break from acting. And, talk about how that evolved and how that plays into all this.
Well, I did my solo play first in 2002. Los Angeles Drama Critics Circle awarded me this wonderful thing. And then nothing happened in my career.
Yeah.
Big deal, big surprise.
Yeah.
2004, I did the play again, a different version of it, and I won the Ovation Award.
Uh-huh.
And nothing happened.
Right.
And, from a financial perspective, I needed to earn some money.
Right.
And so I decided to not give up acting, but to go into real estate.
Right.
But real estate, for those of us who are passionate about whatever it is we do, engulfed me.
Yeah.
And I became a realtor. I was playing the role of realtor full time, because that's what a good realtor does.
You're
They
probably
do it
damn good
full
at
time.
it too. So.
I wasn't that good. I wasn't that good. But I was good enough, because it was a time when all you had to do was stick a sign in the front yard at for sale, and then people threw hundreds of offers at you. So it was a great time to be a realtor. But then it lost its appeal after a few years. And so I did slowly slow down, and then finally gave it up. And January of 2010, I came full bore back at acting. And I've had more success in the last 4 years than I ever had before.
I know. Is there a lesson in all that? I mean, I always talk about people in their day jobs and how, it's a drag to have to do a day job and take away from your art, but it's part of our lives. Yeah. And we can take a lot from some of the real jobs
so
that
many
we
gifts.
take.
So many gifts. For one thing, I'd had many survival jobs, but never a job where you're really in the real business world dealing with real people's real money.
Yeah.
And I felt a huge onerous responsibility towards my clients, because it's the biggest investment most people are going to make.
Yeah.
And so from that standpoint, being a sensitive person, it was a lot of pressure for me. But I remember at first, when I first started working as a realtor, feeling like I'm just playing a realtor. I don't know the answers to the questions.
Yeah.
I can't improv this. But eventually I got an education, and I was able to make it in that world.
Yeah.
What I took away from it, a lot of things, but one thing I took away from it was something that I use in, there's a career goals group that I started at NTS. And now we actually have 3 concurrent career goals groups going on right now. I'm leading one of them. And I did it for myself.
Yeah.
I needed accountability and encouragement and brainstorming information.
Because after all, it's a career, right?
It's a career.
And it's a business like anything else.
It's a business. So I always tell people, my opinion is, as an actor, I have 2 jobs. One is product development, and the other is marketing. It's like most any business.
Yeah.
But it really literally is 50-50. If you don't develop your product so it's fantastic, my product being me, myself, my body, my abilities, my talents, all my skills, and my demeanor, and if I don't market myself, if I'm just sitting at home, unless I have an agent at CAA, if I'm like most actors, I don't, I need to market myself. What does that mean? A lot of things. But anyway, so
well, also,
so
doesn't it give you a little bit? I mean, because as artists, we're sensitive and all these things. But in a way, if you look at it like that, if you look at it in a business point of view, you're kind of taking a more objective look. I know I've sat on the other side of casting, of casting people, and you know that people are terrifically talented, but they're just not right for the part because they don't look right or whatever it is, and it's not personal. But for an actor, putting themselves, it's always personal. But I do think that looking at it as a business in a sense is helpful.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like you can paint by the numbers, but is that true? Do you
Absolutely.
get a different sort of image of yourself that way?
Completely.
Yeah.
And I also don't feel that that we're in competition with each other because, as you say, having been on the other side of casting, when you're right for something, then you're going to get it. That you're right for it. And when you're not right for it, it doesn't say anything negative about you. It just says you're not right for that part for that director.
Exactly.
That's all.
Exactly. And also, I think you can overcome some of the sensitivities that you have too, if you look at it that way. I don't know, or the feelings of rejection. I mean, it's always there.
It's a brutal business.
Yeah. Well, talk about that a little bit. I know that there's a lot of ups and downs. Like you've just come off of a show, and people always talk about the post-show cold and how everybody gets a little down when the frenzy is over and the excitement is over. How do you cope with that? I mean, like kind of the real life of an actor.
You cry over the loss, and then you move on. Fortunately, I have several exciting auditions lined up, and so I just turn my attention to them, and I'm very excited about them. When I have an audition to prepare for, about which I'm excited, that for me totally keeps me buoyant, and I'm constantly working on it and thinking of new ways, So fortunately, I had something right after Good People to look for. Not a job, which would have been better. And I was worried I was going to have a post-show blues. But I just turned my attention to this other thing. I mean, you cry for a day, and then you move on. You have to experience the loss, though, because, I made new friends. I had intimate experiences with 8 or 10 new people in my life. And going to the theater 6 days a week, and having dinner in between on Saturdays together, and feeling like this is my temporary family, and then suddenly your family's gone.
I know, it is.
The actor craves routine. And it's only when you're in a long-running show that you have routine.
Structure.
For theater actors I'm talking about, or for TV actors. It's only if you're series regular that you have a routine. When the closest I came to series regular was 6 or 8 weeks on Days of Our Lives. Loved it. I loved going to my dressing room and saying hello to the director that I knew. And
I know.
It was heavenly.
I know, those are good jobs. And I when I first came out here, I wrote for a soap opera, and it was really fun and very structured, and it was great because you write the script, you deliver it, and then 3 days later they're filming the thing. It's not like movies where you're waiting 8 years, And I think the same thing for actors. I think that kind of stuff is good training, don't you?
Oh yeah.
The soaps.
Oh God.
I mean, unfortunately, they're kind of gone now. But for so many actors, I mean, Robin Wright was on the show, one of the soap operas that I wrote years ago. So. Auditions. I mean, I think you're somebody that really prepares. I know you prepare for a role.
How do you know that? No, really.
I just have a sense. Well, I have a sense of you. That you're probably somebody who thinks about the details, and you're a good actor. And I think good actors have to prepare. But in terms of auditions, what are some of the preps that you do for auditioning for a role?
I read the play.
You read the whole play. You don't just read the sides.
We're talking about theater plays? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, we're talking about theater.
So, I read the play. And if there's anything on the internet, I'll check out just what other people have to say about it. Even Wikipedia. I don't care. I'll just see what have people said about this. So that if my impression of the tone is a certain one, but then all the productions that have passed before have had a different tone, I'll take that into consideration. Hopefully they tell you that in the audition materials. They'll tell you what they're looking for. And then I just slowly work on the lines. At my age now, I need more time to memorize stuff, and I like to go in as close to off book as I can, as close to memorized as I possibly can, because that frees me to then act. If I'm buried here, which sometimes you get one day or whatever, and you just go in and you have to use the page. But if I can avoid that, then it allows me to be free and to, create something that's. To be honest with you, I think some people are going to get upset about me saying this, but I think auditions do require a performance.
Yeah.
Actors don't like to think about it that way because and that's why you always hold your material in your hand, because you want to remind the people who are auditioning you,
this is
an audition. So even if you know it by heart, you hang on to your pages. I don't know, this is just, don't expect a performance, but you need to provide a performance.
Yeah, yeah. So that means making choices, that means actually thinking about the character a fair amount.
Oh yes, of course, just like if you were doing the play. I do the same preparation for an audition that I would do for a play if I were handed the role.
Right.
The same preparation, ask myself the same questions, maybe not as in much depth.
Yeah, yeah.
But I still ask the same questions. Who is this person? Where are they from? What do they sound like? So important. What do they sound like?
Right.
What's their history? What's their, have they been abused?
And this is all for an audition that may last 5 minutes, right? I mean, you never know. I mean, film and TV
Less
is
than that
different.
sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to talk some more about film and TV, but just on the audition side, because all you're really getting is sides there. And that's very tough. So you're playing the cop, you're playing the lawyer, or whatever it is.
Oh, for television and film.
Yeah. Or, I mean, I'm sure that's a different process for you.
There are ways to get other people's sides too. There are ways actors have access to reading other sides.
So you can,
So sometimes I'll just go and look at the
together.
other sides and kind of piece it together. Or again, watch an episode, of course, to find out what the show's like and what are the main characters like, and how can you fit in. Ask myself, what is the purpose of my role? And often in television things, it's like, I'm providing exposition.
That's
okay,
right.
got it. So don't be, you don't want to, it's not about creating a fascinating character.
Yeah.
You want to just be a person who's just providing the exposition often.
Yeah.
And that's fine. I don't care.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think this is true of any profession, but certainly for acting. I mean, you have a lot to learn about whether it's an audition or whether it's a commercial or whether you're, dealing with a casting director. I mean, everything, that's part of your job, and it's all a challenge, and there are all different approaches to it. I know there are millions of classes in LA for actors about doing commercial auditions or this audition, but there's no simple matter to it. It's just a matter of, there's no easy answers. You just, it's really the same kind of techniques that you use. Is that right? You're bringing it's the same acting challenges.
Well, I think so, in terms of figuring out who the character is, where they're from, what they want, what do they seek, what do they need, what is their I must have, so that motivates them, and then like I said, the basics of where they're from, what they sound like, their educational status,
right.
And then their relationships with the other people. It's pretty basic stuff.
Yeah. Well, character building and development is so important. I mean, it's important for a writer, but it's particularly important for an actor to create the character. And I want to talk about that a little bit more. I want to talk about creating characters. I want to talk a little bit about the business of acting and agents. And I know there are a lot of questions that people would have for you if they were here. So we're going to continue this conversation. And I want to thank you, Gigi, for enlightening us a little bit more about your work and training that you've gone through, and the future. What's coming up, by the way? I know you're auditioning for some things.
My husband and I are doing our Cabaret Noël.
Which I've always wanted to go to.
But it's one night only this year.
Tell us when.
At Vitello's. I have the website information not on me. Vitello's, VITELLO''S in Studio City. One night only, December 9th.
Okay, with that, we're out. Thank you so much, Gigi. Terrific to have you.